This world is really cooked. We seem to be living in some sort of absurd fever dream. Things have gotten weirder and weirder since at least 2016, but shifted into high gear in 2019 during the pandemic. That said, personally, I think this place has always been really messed up. It's just becoming much more obvious now. I mean, think about how we get here in the first place. We are spawned into this world regardless of our consent through a non-conscious biological process called reproduction, initiated by our parents. They themselves were tricked through their biology and also cultural or religious conditioning to procreate. So, as far as we know, nobody chooses to come here voluntarily. That by itself should say something about this world and maybe set off some alarm bells. Then nobody really knows exactly why this world exists. It just does. There also seems to be no higher objective meaning to life that we can discern through logic or science. There is no purpose to this world. Life just keeps living due to some mindless will that drives it forward regardless of any rational reasons. But there's really no need for life in the first place, especially not conscious life. This world would be indifferent if all life disappeared tomorrow. The Earth would continue spinning around the sun, but perhaps it is better that life is indeed pointless, because there's no way I could justify all the horrors that happen here. Sure, some religious kooks claim to know why the world exists and what our purpose is, but they can't really prove anything with verifiable evidence or good logical arguments. It's basically a matter of faith. Religion is not like science. The meaning of life in Christianity is different from Hinduism. They don't all converge on the same things. But in science, a chemist from Europe will come to the same result as a chemist from India if they do the same experiment. There is no European chemistry or Indian chemistry, it's just chemistry. Then once we are here, we are forced to endure various types of suffering: hunger, thirst, boredom, physical pain, and disease, not to mention mental and emotional suffering. Sometimes suffering can teach us some lessons, or we can extract some value from it, but many times that's not the case at all. It's just unnecessary suffering, a net loss. This world wasn't designed with our well-being in mind. That's more of an afterthought. We also have to work to maintain our meat suit body so that we can continue existing and mitigate our own suffering. To do this, we must often unalive other living feeling beings to extract star energy and raw materials stored in their bodies, thereby spreading more suffering. Many humans eat meat and other animal products, which requires slaughtering or enslaving these animals, often in factory farms, which are the stuff of nightmares. But even vegans have blood on their hands, as we have to chop down forests or animal habitats, unalive pest animals, and pollute the environment to grow crops with industrial agriculture, and also prevent these crops from being eaten or ruined. Being successful in this life, whether socially, romantically, or professionally, is also quite absurd if you think about it. You'd think that hard work would be rewarded and the key to success, but this is not always the case. Your success is largely determined by factors outside of your control, such as your genetics, your parents and upbringing, the location where you were born, the time period and state of society, and so on. For example, Bill Gates is a somewhat smart and successful man, but not terribly gifted when it comes to strength or size. If Bill Gates were born in the 1200s to a peasant family, he would likely not have been as successful as he was in our time period. Back in the 1200s, physical strength and endurance was more in demand than book smarts. But wait, it gets weirder. Even if you become very successful and satisfy all your needs and desires, you will eventually encounter a state of painless boredom, yet more suffering. That's probably why many wealthy elites become quite degenerate and start doing crazy stuff on Caribbean islands, or get addicted to drugs and commit Sudoku, or convert to religion. It would seem that permanent satisfaction isn't something humans were designed for by evolution. To take the edge off and cope, we sometimes must come up with delusions, or anchors as Norwegian philosopher Peter Wessel Safve calls them. These anchors can be, for example, religion or political movements, and they act as a form of mental protection from the meaningless and unforgiving reality we find ourselves in by shifting our focus away from the abyss. Religion has historically been a very popular cope, particularly because back in the old days we didn't have good distractions like movies, books, or video games. So basically, existence itself has no positive value, because if it had, we would be content with simply existing. But we spend most of our time working, distracting ourselves, or sleeping. Few people can meditate for hours and hours, and even fewer would genuinely enjoy doing that. Otherwise, most people would already be monks, because it's pretty accessible to just sit still and do nothing while living on the bare minimum. But we're not done, it gets more absurd. In video games and computer simulations, there's always a quit button. If you don't like the game you're playing, just press quit and do something else. No such luck with real life. Nature or God were not compassionate enough to install a quit button. So in this game, there's no easy exit. You are forced to play and suffer through it, even if the suffering is unbearable. Trying to break out of this prison planet is very difficult. Self-exiting requires a lot of willpower to overcome the survival instinct, the fear of pain, and perhaps even the fear of an afterlife if you have been conditioned to believe that by religion. That said, self-exiting is also risky, as it is prone to failure and can result in permanent crippling injuries or disfiguration, leading to even more suffering. Great, another fear. And of course, I do not recommend anyone try to do that, but I am still kind of supportive of legalizing voluntary euthanasia. This world is like a combination of a prison and a circus. Let's call it the Dark Circus. And we are the reluctant clowns on the stage, as well as the audience members. We're all forced to play our role until the curtain drops and the show ends, and hopefully the circus goes bankrupt. Remember to like and subscribe, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and see you again in the next video. Okay, thanks, bye.